Welcome back to Coin's most valuable channel, and thanks for joining me today. Today, we're diving deep into fascinating and often overlooked coins, the 1969 D and 1986 D Washington quarters. Whether you're a seasoned numismatist, a beginner just starting out in coin collecting, or someone who came across this coin in your change and decided to look it up, you're going to find this video helpful. First, we are going to explore the 1969 DU.S quarter. The Washington Quarter series has been a staple of U.S. coinage since 1932, and by 1969, it had already been in production for nearly 4 decades. That year, the U.S. was going through major cultural and political changes, and while coins may seem like a small part of that history, they actually reflect a lot about the time they were made. The 1969 D quarter was minted in Denver. That's what the D stands for, and it's a coin that many people overlook because it doesn't contain silver. That's right. In 1965, the U.S. Mint stopped using 90% silver in quarters and moved to a copper-nickel clad composition. So, the 1969 D is made of a copper core sandwiched between 2 layers of nickel, making it worth just face value in metal content. But what makes this coin interesting isn't the metal. It's everything else: the condition, the errors, the varieties, and the rarity of high-grade examples. Let's start with the basics. The obverse of the coin features the familiar portrait of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan. Above Washington's head is the word Liberty. To the left is In God We Trust, and the date 1969 appears below. To the right of the ribbon in Washington's hair, you'll see the small D mint mark, indicating it was struck at the Denver Mint. Now, more than 114 million of these coins were struck in Denver that year. That's a lot. So, in general terms, this coin isn't rare. You might still find one in circulation today, especially in coin rolls or old change jars. But rarity isn't always about how many were made. It's about how many survive today in top condition, or with unique errors or varieties that set them apart. Let's talk about condition. Like most circulating coins, the majority of 1969 D quarters out there are pretty worn. If you find one that's been through decades of use, maybe it's dull, scratched, or the details are worn flat, it's likely worth just 25 cents. But if you come across one in uncirculated condition, that is, a coin that was never spent and still looks shiny and crisp, you're in a different ballpark. In lower uncirculated grades, like MS60 to MS63, the coin might be worth a few dollars. But when you move into MS65, which means the coin is nearly flawless with strong luster and minimal marks, value starts climbing. $20, $30, even $50. And then we get to the real premium grades, MS66 and especially MS67. These coins are truly exceptional. They're nearly perfect, and they stand out among millions of average examples. A 1969 D quarter in MS67 condition can sell for over $1,000 at auction. Why? Because so few were preserved that nicely. Remember, back in 1969, people weren't saving these coins. Silver was gone, so there wasn't much incentive to hoard them. That means that truly pristine examples are few and far between today. But condition isn't the only thing that adds value. Another major factor is mint errors. These are mistakes that happen during the coin production process, and some of them can turn an ordinary coin into a highly collectible piece. One type of error is the off-center strike. That happens when the blank planchet isn't properly aligned in the press. If the design is visibly shifted to one side, and especially if the date is still visible, the coin can be worth $50, $100, or even more, depending on how far off-center it is. Then you have die cracks and die chips. These are raised lines or bumps on the coin caused by cracks or breaks in the die that struck it. While common die chips might only add a few dollars of value, dramatic die cracks, especially those that run across the coin, can attract collector interest. Another error to look for is the clipped planchet. This happens when the metal strip used to create coin blanks overlaps during cutting, resulting in a coin that has a curved piece missing. A clear, clean clip on a 1969 D quarter can add serious value, often ranging from $50 to over $150, depending on size and location. Struck-through errors are also worth noting. These occur when a foreign object, maybe a piece of wire, string, or grease, gets between the die and the blank, leaving an impression or void on the coin. These can look bizarre, and collectors love unique examples. And let's not forget doubling. While the famous 1969 Lincoln cent with a dramatic doubled die gets most of the attention, collectors still look for doubled dies on quarters. On the 1969 D, minor doubling may appear on the lettering, the date, or the mint mark. Most are machine doubling and don't carry big value, but a true, strong doubled die, especially one confirmed by grading services like PCGS or NGC, could be worth hundreds. The key with any error or variety is authentication. There's a lot of post-mint damage out there, things like scratches, dings, environmental damage, or oddware that might look like an error but aren't. If you think you've found something interesting, do your homework. Compare it to known varieties online. Use a magnifier and good lighting. And most importantly, never clean the coin. Cleaning destroys the surface and can cut the value in half, or worse. If you think you've got something valuable, consider submitting it for professional grading. PCGS and NGC are the two top services, and a slabbed, graded coin will always be easier to sell and more trusted in the collector community. So now let's circle back and talk about what this all means for you. What's the takeaway? The 1969 D quarter may not be silver, and it may not be super rare overall, but it absolutely has the potential to be a hidden treasure. Whether it's in pristine uncirculated condition or features a rare mint error, this coin can be worth much more than 25 cents. The key is knowing what to look for. High-grade examples, we're talking MS66 or MS67, are extremely hard to find. Error coins can appear in circulation, but are easiest to spot in coin rolls or old collections. You can search through bank rolls, check change from cash purchases, or hit up flea markets and garage sales. You never know where the next gem might turn up. Also, this coin is part of a broader trend. As more collectors turn their attention to post-1964 clad coins, values for top-condition examples and unique errors continue to rise. Collectors are realizing just how few high-quality examples survived from this era. So this is a good time to get educated, get involved, and get searching. So there you have it, a full look at the 1969 D Washington quarter. It's a coin that's easy to overlook, but full of potential for collectors who take the time to study it. From mint errors to high grades, there are opportunities hidden in plain sight. Now we'll explore the 1986 DU.S quarter. The design hasn't changed much over the years, at least not until the state quarters program kicked off in 1999. So to the average person, a 1986 D quarter may look pretty ordinary. But trust me, there's more to it than meets the eye. Let's start with the basics. The 1986 D quarter was minted at the Denver Mint, as indicated by the small D mint mark on the obverse of the coin. It's part of the long-running clad series, meaning it's made of copper and nickel, not silver. That switch from silver to clad actually happened back in 1965, so by 1986, we were well into the non-silver era of U.S. quarters. Still, the fact that this quarter is clad doesn't mean it's worthless. In fact, depending on condition, mint errors, and demand, a 1986 D quarter could be worth far more than its face value of 25 cents. And that's exactly what we're here to talk about. The obverse features the classic portrait of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan. You'll see the word Liberty at the top, the date 1986 at the bottom, and In God We Trust to the left of Washington's neck. Just to the right, you'll notice that small D mint mark. That letter is key because it tells you that the coin was produced in Denver. On the reverse, you'll find the traditional eagle design, an eagle with outstretched wings perched on a bundle of arrows, with 2 olive branches beneath. This design was used for decades before being replaced by the 50 state quarters in 1999. So let's talk mintage numbers. In 1986, the Denver Mint struck more than 504 million Washington quarters. That's over 500 million coins. So clearly the 1986 D is not rare by population alone. You're not going to get rich just because you have one in your pocket. But as with any coin, the real value lies in a combination of factors: condition, rarity of high-grade examples, and mint errors. Let's begin with condition. In the world of coin collecting, condition is everything. A heavily circulated 1986 D quarter with worn surfaces, scratches, and dulled luster is typically worth its face value, 25 cents. These are extremely common and found everywhere, from pocket change to vending machines. But things start to get interesting when we move into the realm of uncirculated coins, the ones that were never used in commerce and still have their original mint luster. At the lower end of uncirculated grades, say MS60 to MS63, a 1986 D quarter might sell for around $1 to $3 depending on the coin's appearance and the market. As we go higher in grade, the value increases. At MS65, which is the minimum grade considered gem uncirculated, the coin becomes much more attractive to collectors. You could expect a value of $10 to $25 for a strong MS65 example. But the real leap in value comes at MS66 and MS67. These coins are rare because even though hundreds of millions were made, only a tiny fraction have survived in truly pristine condition. In MS66, a 1986 D quarter might fetch $40 to $75, and in MS67, you're looking at possible auction prices of $500 or more, depending on IAPL and the grading service's population data. Why are high-grade coins so valuable? It all comes down to survivability. Most quarters get used, passed around, dropped, scraped, and damaged. Very few are preserved right out of the mint, and even fewer survive with clean surfaces, strong luster, and minimal contact marks. That's why some collectors focus entirely on finding top-grade examples. They know that quality is where the value is. Now let's turn our attention to something that really excites collectors: errors and varieties. The 1986 D Washington quarter has a few known errors that can boost its value significantly. Let's go through some of the most notable ones. One of the most common error types is the off-center strike. This happens when the blank isn't properly centered in the press. If you've got a coin where the design is visibly shifted and part of it is missing, that's an off-center strike. Depending on how much of the design is missing, and whether the full date is still visible, this can increase the value dramatically. An off-center 1986 D quarter can range in value from $25 to over $150, depending on severity. Next up, we have clipped planchets. These are coins that were cut from the metal strip too close to the edge or overlapping another blank, leaving part of the coin visibly clipped or curved. A cleanly clipped 1986 D quarter can bring in $50 to $200, depending on how dramatic the clip is. There are also struck-through errors where a foreign object like grease, thread, or debris gets between the die and the blank during striking. These errors can produce unusual surface impressions that look like smears, missing design areas, or foreign textures on the coin. Some of these are quite valuable, particularly when they're dramatic and clearly visible. Another favorite among collectors is die cracks and die chips. These occur when the die used to strike the coin begins to deteriorate and crack, creating raised lines or blobs of extra metal on the coin's surface. While minor die chips might only be worth a few bucks, dramatic die cracks or large die breaks, sometimes called cuds, can raise the value significantly. And yes, while it's less common, some collectors still hunt for doubling, looking for signs of doubled dies on the date, the mint mark, or the lettering. Most of the time, what people find is machine doubling, which has little to no added value. But if a true doubled die 1986 D quarter ever surfaces and is verified, it could command hundreds or even thousands of dollars at auction. Now here's something important to remember. Just because a coin looks strange doesn't mean it's an error. A lot of what people find are post-mint damages, things like environmental corrosion, plating bubbles, or contact marks that happen after the coin leaves the mint. These kinds of damage don't add value. So, how can you tell the difference? It comes down to education and experience. Use a 10x magnifier, compare your coin to known examples online, and if you believe you found something special, consider submitting it to a third-party grading service like PCGS or NGC. They can authenticate and grade the coin, which gives you a better idea of its market value and makes it easier to sell if you choose to. Let's also talk about how to find these coins. Even though the 1986 D is relatively modern, it's still possible to find them in circulation. Try searching bank rolls of quarters. You'd be surprised how many older coins are still out there. Flea markets, estate sales, garage sales, and coin shows are also great places to pick through collections and possibly find high-grade or error coins for a low price. If you're serious about coin roll hunting or investing, consider building a Washington quarter collection by date and mint mark. It's a fun and challenging project that helps you learn a lot about each year and what to look for. Another tip: if you're holding onto coins that you believe may be uncirculated, store them properly. Use acid-free flips or holders and keep them in a cool, Dry place away from humidity and extreme temperature changes. Avoid touching the surfaces of the coin. Always handle them by the edges. And whatever you do, never clean a coin. Even if it looks dirty or dull, cleaning will destroy the natural surfaces and lower the value drastically. Collectors prefer original surfaces, even if they're a bit toned or dirty, over artificially polished coins. So let's recap what we've covered. The 1986 D. Washington quarter is a common coin by mintage, but that doesn't mean it's without value. In average circulated condition, it's worth 25 cents. But in uncirculated grades, especially MS66 and above, this coin becomes much more valuable, sometimes selling for hundreds of dollars. Add in the possibility of errors, off-center strikes, clips, die cracks, and more, and you've got a coin that deserves a second look. Whether you're searching rolls, checking your change, or digging through old family collections, the 1986 D quarter is worth keeping an eye on. It's a great example of how even a modern coin, when found in the right condition or with the right error, can be surprisingly valuable. Thanks so much for spending time with me today. If you found this helpful, consider subscribing to the channel for more in-depth coin content. Leave a comment and let me know if you found a 1969 D quarter or a 1986 D quarter with a unique error or in mint condition. I'd love to hear your story. Until next time, keep looking through your change, keep learning, and as always, happy collecting.